What on earth? This guest blade video was like 2 or 3 weeks ago on the Chris Reeve Umnumzaan, and why is it still here? Wait a minute. Is he shooting this video through a mirror? Because that doesn't look like the guest blade. The guest blade was right-handed. Let's see if we can clear up this mystery. Stick with me, guys. Hi gang, it's the evening of 7 April 2014, and yeah, you probably figured this one out already. This is not the guest blade Umnumzaan. I think I might have dropped a little bit of a hint as I was finishing that last video that it wouldn't be long before a Lefty Umnumzaan found its way into the collection at the TheApostleP channel. So here it is. Just take a slow look at this beauty. Just wanted to do kind of a short PS or part 2 or something to my Umnumzaan initial review video, because not only did I want to show you the one that became my personal knife, but I also wanted to clear up maybe some misunderstandings or things I didn't communicate very well in my initial review, because some of the comments seem to be from folks who had the impression that I didn't like this knife. Clearly I did. You know, this one came brand new from James Marsh at Action Concepts, or Bodra Marsh on eBay. He was the Lone Ranger out there who actually had a Lefty Umnumzaan with the new pivot. First knife I've ever bought from James, and he's great to deal with. I had him look the knife over for me. It was the last one he had, but asked him some specific questions. He gave me some specific answers, and you buy a knife from Action Concepts, you get it for MSRP with free shipping. Nothing wrong with that deal. Shipping was fast, packaging was good. I've heard him run through the funny papers just a bit in some of the forums. Not my experience. Good guy to deal with. Okay, let's look at some areas of, not concern, but areas that I need to look at in an Umnumzaan because of some of my issues with its construction and its mechanism. We don't have a bushing pivot, so how tight we make that pivot is going to determine how our blade centering is, and obviously you can see that I've got it adjusted so it's dead center. What does that do for the action of the knife? That was a bad deployment. Very little thumb needed. That's actually more than I like to give it. And my knife does have a pretty stout detent. I did want to show you this, see if I can. It's hard to do this in the viewfinder without whacking the blade on the table. The blade will drop free if I have a correct grip on it, but I can't get that correct grip at this angle. But if I release the lock bar off the ball, the blade will just slide down ever so gracefully. So I have no issues with my deployment action and my blade centering or my smoothness. Let's see. Nothing wrong with that at all. I love how you can operate this knife and not make a sound. Sorry about my run and sump pump, guys. It's been raining about an inch an hour here in Northeast Indiana. I will say this, I made a little bit of a complaint about the clip, I think, when I had that right-handed Umnum guest blade in, and more than anything, because of how I was operating the lock bar, the clip always seemed to sort of dig into my finger in an odd place as I was trying to release the lock bar. But I will say, after having had this in my hand and pocket for a couple weeks, that was just a function of my left-handedness trying to use a right-handed knife. I was fighting that lock bar way more than I needed to with the right hand. Knife just operates in an awesome way. And I wanted you guys to see that I did actually invest my own money to buy an Umnumzaan, and I want to clear up any negative impression my video left, because my impression of the knife is not negative. No, it is not a Sebenza. No, I don't think it's been characterized properly by the knife community. I notice I didn't say by Chris Reeve Knives. I don't think it's been characterized properly by the knife community. It is not a beefed up Sebenza. It is an Umnumzaan. It is constructed differently, not more strongly. It's built for speed. It's built to be a better piercer, a less robust tip. It's just a sexy race car of a knife, but a really strong race car. And I love it. And frankly, nothing that I have in my gun safe, which also houses my knives, nothing in there has been very successful at knocking this out of my pocket for the last couple weeks. It's just freaking beautiful and so nice to have in hand. And I've had zero issues with any fastener moving, by the way. Some guys have complained that the back standoff screws have loosened up. Now, of course, as you can see, mine got sharpened right out of the box. I love the way that edge stays the same width, hilt to tip, because of the thinness of that tip. But a lot of guys say that this back standoff screw will come loose. Mine only spent 1 day of life out of the box from the factory before I sharpened it, took it apart, cleaned it, and lubed it. So, and I will say this, whether it's a Sebenza or the back standoff on an Umnumzaan, I use no Loctite on those fasteners as directed by the factory, but I do tighten them a little more robustly than Chris Reeve might suggest. I actually put my thumb right at the bend of the Allen wrench, put my index finger right at the back of it, and I tighten it till I get a nice little bow in the Allen wrench, and I call it good. That seems to get the head chamfers bitten into the titanium a little bit, and it keeps them from ever moving. The pivot on my Umnum does have blue Loctite on it, and I set it and I forgot it. It needed no tweaking. I opened it and closed it a few times after I cleaned it and lubed it, and did a light polish on the washers, just on the strap, no sandpaper. After I opened it and closed it a few times, I left it alone, and I haven't touched it since, and I don't plan to. A lot of knives with adjustable pivots, you're always kind of chasing that perfect blend of smooth action and blade centering, and I feel no need to change anything on this knife. So for a company who doesn't make adjustable pivots very often, they seem to have gotten this one right. And if you guys own one of these with the new pivot, you'll notice that the threads are extremely fine, which makes incidental movement of the screw mechanism itself, very unlikely. Even if it does move a little, it doesn't. Even if it does rotate a little bit, maybe you bump something with it and it makes it move. Your vertical movement is very small, so because the threads are so fine. So you could theoretically bump that pivot and turn it just a tick, and you might not even notice it. It also helps it keep its bite, having those fine threads. If you remember in my Sebenza review, I did kind of ding the screws on the Sebenza for having such a coarse thread. But remember, they are designed to be locked down. So, and I mean locked down mechanically, not with any kind of a compound to lock the threads. But after having an Umnumzaan in hand for about 3 weeks total between my lefty and the righty guest blade, I am in love. Absolutely in love. Has it replaced the Sebenza in my heart? No. Will it? No. It hasn't. In fact, I've carried the Sebenza on like 2 days in the last 10, just because I felt like I needed to, and love it. I still love it. It has its own charm, its own ergonomics, its own deal. They're both extremely Chris Reeve, but they're like two children who are different but come from the same father. All right, that's all my rambling for tonight. Hey, by the way, let me know what you think of the black background. This is black dyed suede from a little shop in Nashville, Indiana, in Brown County. K Bellum Leather, and K had rolls and rolls and rolls of remnant leather or raw leather that you could use for this kind of stuff, or even making straps or belts. Just a neat little shop with lots of neat merchandise. That was fun. Heidi and I spent a couple days down there. That's why you haven't seen any videos for the last few days. Well, let me know how this is showing up. I'm going to try my best in post-production to make the lighting right. And if you notice, I'm not getting that big shadow in here that I have been on my videos because I moved some lighting around. So I hope the non-reflective background is helping our video quality, and I hope the light positioning is also helping, and we'll just sort of have to see when you guys watch and when I review this video. That's all for tonight. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.